Hi guys, today I made this duck in Chinese black bean sauce and it was so delicious. I call it duck in Chinese black bean sauce because it's kind of a fusion dish where I pan fry duck breast like they do in France, and while it's resting I cook up a black bean sauce with loads of Chinese flavours. Start off by adding about 7 dried shiitake mushrooms to a cup. I'm topping it up with boiling water. Then set them aside and allow to steep for about 30 minutes. Now grab a bowl for your whole spices, starting with a large stick of cinnamon. That's probably twice as long as the ones you get in the supermarket, so I'm just going to break it in half. This dish serves 2 as well, so you can use each piece as a garnish if you like, though generally I'd advise against inedible garnishes. Next you're going to add 3 star anise to the cinnamon. People normally don't like these because they're very licoricey, but trust me, their flavour goes so well with meat, and cinnamon and star anise are 2 of the 5 Chinese 5 spices. So just set them aside and take some of these fermented black beans, or they might be labelled as salted black beans, and add about 2 tablespoons to a ramekin. And now you're going to rinse these thoroughly in a sieve, and when they're done, just set them aside as well. Next, take 5 good hefty cloves of garlic and crush them into a small bowl. You could finely mince these with a knife or finely grate them with a microplane as well if you like, but for me this way is a lot faster. Now take roughly the same amount of ginger, peel it and chop it up really finely as well. Don't dream of weighing this though, because it doesn't have to be exact at all. Once it's finely chopped, add it to the bowl with the garlic. Now take 1 fresh red chilli and do remove the seeds here. This dish is not supposed to be hot at all. Then slice them up as thin as you can before adding them to the garlic and ginger, and then set these aside too. Next I took 5 spring onions. Then I removed all the bulbs to replant later. Then I chopped the green parts into 2-inch pieces. If the whiter parts at the root end are tough, you might need to bash them with the side of your knife. Then chop up a few more spring onion greens and set these aside until later too. Next I added some bean sprouts to the bowl with the spring onions, probably about half a drained can's worth. Now take a large mug to make the sauce and add about 2 tablespoons of light soy sauce, roughly a teaspoon of dark soy sauce, 1 tablespoon of Shaoxing wine, about half a tablespoon of sugar, then a tablespoon of flour. Potato flour is best, but here I'm just using plain flour. Then add another couple tablespoons of water and stir it up really well until it's all nice and smooth and without any lumps. Then set it aside. Now take your duck breasts. As you can see, these have a lot of fat on them, but don't worry, I'll show you how to render all that fat out while leaving your meat blushing and pink and the remaining fat really crispy. My butcher already scored these, but you want to score them just by cutting into the fat, not as far as the muscle, leaving a little bit of fat to insulate the muscle from the searing heat of the pan. I only sprinkle these with sea salt flakes. I feel like any other spice that you use could well burn in the heat of the pan, so I just use salt. The salt will extract any sort of moisture out of the fat as well, which will really help them crisp up. Now finally, before we start cooking, you bring back your drained shiitake mushrooms and chop them into thin strips before adding to the bowl with the spring onion and bean sprouts. Now you have your bowl of vegetables, your cup of sauce ingredients, a ramekin of rinsed fermented black beans, your whole spices, your chili, garlic and ginger, the spring onion greens, and your duck. Now everything here can be done ahead of time and set aside until right before cooking. Now take a wok, and before you put any heat on there at all, place the duck breast skin side down. Now place the heat on low and gradually raise it up until medium high for about 10 minutes. That'll render out as much fat as possible while still not overcooking the meat. Just remember to pour off as much of the fat as possible as it's rendering out. You can save the fat for roasting potatoes later if you'd like. Leave it on medium high for another couple of minutes before you whack it up to high for just a minute. Or until the duck breasts go from looking like this to looking like this. Then over the high heat, just flip both duck breasts and leave them for exactly 2 minutes. Their skin should be really nice and golden and crispy like this. Then take them both out to rest on a chopping board for just about 5 minutes while you crack on with your sauce. First, I poured off any excess fat and added a couple of tablespoons of flavourless vegetable oil. I'm using rapeseed oil here. Once the oil was hot, I added the whole spices, the cinnamon and the star anise, and stirred them around for just 30 seconds until the oil became really aromatic. Then I added the bowl with the garlic, ginger and chilli and stirred it around for again just about 30 seconds until it became really aromatic. Now dump in your shiitake mushrooms, your spring onions and your bean sprouts and stir them around and let them cook over the high heat for about 2.5 minutes. As I've been doing that, I've brought a pot of water to the boil and added in some noodles and a good dash of soy sauce just for a little bit of flavour. So by the time I'm finished the sauce, the noodles will be done too. Now add the sauce ingredients and just stir them through before you add your rinsed black beans. Stir them in as well. Now stir fry again for just about a minute over a high heat, and if this is reduced too much you can add a tablespoon or 2 of cold water. Now add the duck breasts back to the sauce very briefly on both sides. That'll really kind of glaze them in the savoury soy flavours. So after just 20 seconds on each side, transfer them out to a chopping board. Add in your spring onion greens and stir them in before you remove the whole thing from the heat. Now slice each breast into thick chunky slices. And you should be able to see just how pink and blushing this meat is. So good, exactly how I like it. To plate up, take 2 servings of noodles. Then spoon over some of that rich, dark, savoury black bean sauce. Next, add the perfectly cooked slices of duck breast meat. Just fan them out a little bit and drizzle over some more of that beautiful black bean sauce. This really is so delicious and hands down beats any takeaway any day of the week. And I'm even getting a little bit better at using my chopsticks. I'm still not great though. Thanks a million for watching guys. I really hope you liked this recipe and will give it a go yourself. If you did, be sure to hit the like and subscribe buttons below. You can check me out on social media if you like. You'll find all the links to my accounts in the description, as well as the link to my blog where you'll find this full recipe at www.rookiecook.org.